violent criminals and these rioters that are destroying LA.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined by William Enyart, a former Democratic congressman and retired general who led the Illinois National Guard from 2007 to 2012. Thank you very much for your time today. There's quite a bit of reaction I'd like to get from you, but perhaps we could start with what has happened most recently with the mayor of LA, Karen Bass, saying that a curfew is going to be set in place. What do you think?
Well, I think putting a curfew in place is absolutely appropriate and certainly sounds like it needs to be done. And I think also critically important is her point that these are really quite localized demonstrations and quite small in comparison to past upheavals that we've seen, whether in Los Angeles or other large cities.
And just on the characterization of the protests, I mean, you've described them there as quite small and being sort of localized within the city. That's not how it's been described as by President Trump. He's called it an assault on peace and public order. And we heard just now as well from that Republican senator saying that, you know, it has become quite lawless.
Well, in point of fact, what is happening is that the president is turning this into political theater. He needs political theater. He thrives on political theater, and he's been previously labeled as the king of reality television. And what better gripping reality television is a couple of burning cars in a street. That certainly plays into the president's hyperbole, where everything is a disaster, everything is the fault of the Democrats, and you know, his usual characterizations. Trump has some very, very real problems with the tariffs and what the tariffs are doing to the economy, and what his tax bill in the Congress is preparing to do to the American people. He knows he's losing desperately on those issues, so he needs to what those folks in Washington, D.C. describe as a pivot. He needs to pivot. He needs to distract the American people from the reality of his administration, the failures of his administration, and selectively portray this as some kind of a disaster, when in point of fact, it's really fairly well contained. The mayor said her folks had it under control. The governor said they had it under control. What Trump has done is he has entirely disregarded the playbook of how the National Guard responds to civil disorder. We've had decades of experience in the National Guard responding to civil disorder. There's a very well laid out plan on how we proceed. The local chief executive is in charge of that municipality. She's elected by the people there. It's her home. She knows what her resources are in that municipality. If her resources are overwhelmed, the next step is to go to the governor. The governor has the authority to bring in the National Guard on his own, or he can send in state police, or he can send in other local law enforcement to assist. And the reason for that procedure is because the local people know the needs and the resources. Donald Trump jumping in from 3,000 miles away, he has no idea of what's really going on the ground, but what he does want to do is make political theater, and he's succeeding brilliantly at making political theater.
Well, if he is making political theater, as you say, then it could come at quite a cost, couldn't it? We're seeing more demonstrations grow into other cities. Is there a risk that this could almost be self-fulfilling and that there could be more trouble ahead?
Well, I will tell you that I'm very concerned about that. I think Donald Trump is itching to declare the Insurrection Act. He is itching to take all power essentially unto himself. You know, James Madison said prior to the American Revolution that when you concentrate all power, that is the legislative, the judicial, and the executive, in one hand, one set of hands, then you have a dictatorship. What Donald Trump has been doing with his executive orders, which is legislation effectively, with his complete disregard of the judicial process and disregarding due process, taking people, throwing them on airplanes and deporting them to foreign prisons, is asserting control of the judiciary. And then, of course, he already has the executive branch, which he has been in the process of decimating through with his consortium with Elon Musk. So I think that we need some James Madison folks in the legislature to stand up to Donald Trump. Unfortunately, we don't see that with the
Yeah, we'll
current
have to see if
Speaker of
that
the
does
House.
happen. Yeah, William, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your thoughts today and your perspective. William Enyart there, former Democratic congressman and a retired general who led the Illinois National Guard from 2007 to 2012.